Story time! In my old school, I was in a friend group of 5 girls, including me. Annie, Camila, Jenna, and Emily. We were all like best friends and always had sleepovers on Fridays or on the weekend. But Camila always said that she couldn't make it because she had soccer practice. We all said, it's okay, you'll come next time, even though she never came, and we never thought anything about it. Until one Wednesday afternoon at lunch when Emily went to the bathroom. We were all like, oh my god, we should totally throw her a slumber party for her birthday next week Friday. And everybody said yes, of course, and we all started planning it. But of course, Camila said, sorry, I have soccer practice, I can't make it. And me, as a straightforward person I am, said, you really can't miss one soccer practice for your best friend's birthday party? She of course felt really bad and said, okay, fine, I'll go. We were all super happy, but that was obviously a really bad idea.
Part 2 of my last story time. So the day comes of Emily's birthday and we go to her house and we set up all the decorations, the piñata, the cake, all the arts and crafts, all the activities and everything. And when we arrive, we surprise her and we do all the activities, we eat cake, we do the piñata, we eat a bunch of stuff, and then it starts getting pretty late. So we decide, oh my god, let's go upstairs and watch scary movies and tell scary stories, and let's bring all the candy. So we went upstairs with all the candy, a bunch of candy, and we all set up our movie spot and we start watching scary movies and telling scary stories. Everybody gets pretty tired and we're all like, yeah, I'm going to bed. Yeah, me too. But for some reason, Camila was like, no guys, come on, let's pull an all-nighter. Everybody was pretty tired, but apparently Camila was not. Annie and Emily decide, let's try to pull an all-nighter, but everybody else went to bed. But that night, something very scary happened. Part 3 of the Camila story time. In the middle of the night, I hear a noise, so I decide to get up because I had to go to the bathroom anyways. I see that a bucket of Twizzlers were tipped over. I thought, oh, maybe someone else also had to go to the bathroom, let me go look for them. And while I'm leaving the room, I see that Camila is the only one who's not in her sleeping bag. I go to the nearest bathroom and I check if anyone's in there, and there's no one in there. I really had to go to the bathroom, so I got inside and I did my business, and while I was doing my business, I heard a door slam. After I finished doing my business, I got up and I started looking for Camila in all the bathrooms because Emily's house was really big. I go look around in the other bathrooms and there's no one in them. So I decide to look in some of the bedrooms, but there was still no one in there. I decide to go back upstairs and wake up Annie, Emily, and Jenna. We all start searching the house, but we can't find Camila anywhere. At this moment, we were all scared that she had gotten kidnapped. Then we go into Camila's parents' bedroom and we see that the dad isn't in his bed. Part 4 coming soon. Last and final part of the Camila story time. So when we went into Emily's parents' bedroom, not Camila's, sorry about the confusion on my last video, we see that Emily's dad wasn't there, and we start thinking that Emily's dad kidnapped Camila. Emily was bawling her eyes out. We were all super scared, and I had never been this scared in my entire life. Emily's dad was like a second dad to me, so I was super scared that I had been hanging around a kidnapper my entire life. Emily's mom woke up and said what's going on, and we tell her this whole story, and she's like, girls, calm down, Camila went home. We were all like, wait, what? And she was like, go get some rest, I'll tell you tomorrow at breakfast. At breakfast, Emily's dad was back. He explained to us that Camila was scared of the dark and scared of sleeping at other people's houses. And she probably dropped the bucket of Twizzlers when she was getting up to go tell Emily's parents that she wanted to go home. Camila's fine now and everything's okay. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support on my videos.
Today, we were in class. I was in band at the time, and the classroom phone rang. And the teacher went and he answered the phone. He got really serious. He got this really concerned, shocked look on his face, and he hung it up and he turned to us and he said, everybody sit down, be quiet, the bell's going to ring in a couple minutes, you're going to stay seated. And then he went over to the doors and he locked them. And we were just like, oh, what is happening? And at first some of us were like, well, is it a bomb threat? Because we used to get bomb threats all the time, but then we realized that doesn't make sense because when we get a bomb threat, they evacuate us. And then we're like, is there some type of killer in the school? Is there a weather alert? Is there a terrorist attack? And none of us knew anything. The teacher wouldn't answer any questions. He was told not to. And the bell rang. We all stayed seated and we sat there for a really long time. And then the next bell rang, which means a whole other class period had passed. And still he said, stay seated. And I can't tell you how long we were trapped in this room and nobody was telling us what was going on. We're all getting really scared and panicking because we had
never had a situation like this, and we had practiced so many drills, if there's a bomb, we all go to the band lot. If there's a tornado, we all go to the basement. If there's a fire, we take these exits on this side. We always had a plan, and this was just something that we had never planned, and nobody was telling us anything. So eventually they're texting their parents and calling their parents, and they're saying, do you know anything about this? And the parents are all freaking out, and now it's like an ordeal. Some of the parents started listening to the police scanners, and it was getting back to us that there were ambulances outside of our school, and we're just like, and at this point, a lot of us are panicking because we think there's some type of shooter or something, because that makes sense. Like, okay, the doors are locked. They're telling us to be quiet. They're telling us not to move. They're telling us not to leave. There's ambulances outside. And finally, they just opened the doors and let us go. And they wouldn't tell us anything still. So we're just like, okay, we just sat in this classroom for like hours. There's ambulances outside of our school, and you're just gonna let us go to our next class? So you can probably tell by the title of this video what happened. A girl died in class during school hours. And here's the story on that. So earlier in that day, around like first, second period, somebody sold her a bunch of Oxycontins. She, during school, took all of them. She ended up going to her 7th period class at 3rd period, and she walked in and the teacher was like, honey, what are you doing here? And she said, oh, I'm here for class. And the teacher was like, you're not here until later, honey. It's only 3rd period. And I wasn't here for this, but supposedly when she walked away, she said to somebody else, oh, she's on something, or she's drunk or something. But it was obvious that she was on something. So she went a couple classes later and she put her head down on the desk. She was sleeping, and she was just kind of one of those students who, showed up late and slept in class. Obviously didn't show a ton of interest. An amazing teacher. He was a caring teacher, but he didn't wake her up for I don't know what reason it was. I don't know if he just thought, you can only try so hard to make somebody interested in class. I don't know if he figured, she could really use the sleep, just let her nap. But that class was over and the bell rang and everybody got up, but she stayed seated laying on her desk like this with her head down, and she wasn't getting up. So somebody who was sitting next to her nudged her and was like, hey, wake up, class is over. And she didn't move, and then she nudged her a little harder to wake her up, and that is when her arm fell completely limp to the side of the desk. So obviously at this point, people start panicking. They roll her over and she is completely blue. I don't know how long she was out. I don't know how long she wasn't breathing, but she had completely OD'd and had not been receiving oxygen for enough time to turn her blue. That is when the ambulances were called. That is when the school was put on lockdown. She was taken out, obviously, and she died that day.
Story time about how my best friend made my whole school hate me. So a little background information, I was 13 and in 8th grade, and so was my best friend, who we are going to call Layla, and we met at a birthday party of a mutual friend during that summer, and all 3 of us started to hang out every day, and then when school started back up, the trio fell apart, because our other friend Alice went to a different school, so she couldn't really hang out with us as much. When we first started school, there was this boy that I met, and I really liked him, and we started dating, but Layla and I had our own little friend group. There were 5 of us. Then there was this girl named Ivy. She had 4 people in her group, and our friend groups did not like each other at all. There was maybe one person from both groups that hung out with the other group, but that was it. And the only reason why none of us were friends was because the main girls, like the leaders of the group, used to be best friends. But then Ivy went behind Layla's back and started talking to this boy that Layla liked, and that's literally why they're not friends anymore. Well, all of us in the friend group were friends, but I was Layla's best friend. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my best friend made my whole school hate me. So like I said, we were all friends in the group, but I was Layla's best friend. So her and I would pretty much boss everybody else around. One day Layla tells one of our friends Nova to go and listen to what Ivy and her friends were talking about during lunch, because Nova had friends who sat at the same lunch tables as them. Well, I guess Ivy was talking about how she was going to try to talk to every guy that Layla talked to just to make her mad. And that started a whole war. Layla and I have a sleepover that same night, and she's like, we should make an Instagram account and expose her. Now, Ivy was notorious for sending out explicit pictures to guys. Like, even if she didn't know them, she loved the attention from guys. So Layla told me that we were going to make a fake Snapchat account and try to get her to send pictures. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of sad. She literally sent them within 5 minutes of Layla texting her pretending to be some guy. After that, we both made Instagram accounts that were named Exposing Ivy or something along those lines. And we made 2 accounts just so that way, if one got taken down, hopefully the other one would stay up. We posted the pictures on there and a lot of people saw them, like for part 3. Part 3 about how my best friend made my entire school hate me. So like I said, Ivy sent the pictures and everybody saw them. And I'm talking even the people in high school. The next day, Ivy and Layla are in the same science class together. And none of their friends were there that day, so they ended up working on a group assignment together. And just like that, they were best friends again. Well, I get thrown under the bus, the teachers come and pull me out of my class and they search my phone and they find the Instagram account on my phone. And when I told them it was also on Layla's phone, they went on her phone and they didn't find anything, of course. I get suspended and Layla and Ivy tell everybody that I was the one who made the fake Snapchat account and the Instagram accounts. And the whole week that I was suspended, I was getting messages from a lot of people that I went to school with and people that I didn't even know from high school. I was getting tagged in stuff on Instagram of people saying how much of a weirdo I am. Well, a few days into my suspension, Layla and Ivy talked my boyfriend into breaking up with me. They faked text messages between each other and made it look like I was talking to another guy. And then they faked another conversation between Layla and I. Like for part 4. Part 4 about how my best friend made my entire school hate me. So like I said, Layla and Ivy talked my boyfriend into breaking up with me the week that I was suspended. They showed him fake text messages between me and some guy that doesn't even exist. And then they also faked a conversation between Layla and I, and it's me saying, OMG, this guy's so hot, I'm gonna leave my boyfriend for him. And I was getting called a cheater, and when I went back to school the next week on Monday, it was terrible. People would whisper and laugh at me when I was walking in the hallway. I would be in the bathroom and there would be girls talking about how weird and disgusting I was loud enough so I could hear them. Every lunch table that I sat at, Layla and Ivy would sit at the other end with all their friends and just talk about me the entire time. Well, after this situation, I finally decided that I was going to do online school for the next 2 months and then hopefully have a fresh start in high school. All the girls and I were changing in the locker room and we went to gym class. Ivy asked if she could go to the bathroom, which of course was in the locker room. After gym class, I get changed in my clothes. All the girls start laughing at me when my teacher says there's a hole in the back of your pants. And yes, I did try telling my teachers about this stuff that was going on, because we all should know by now schools are notorious for not doing it to help students that are being bullied.
So when I was like 5 and my brother was like 8, he and I would fight like all the time. It would drive my mom insane. So this one time we were driving in the car and we were fighting, and then my mom like pulled over off the side of the road and then was like, if you guys start fighting one more time, I'm gonna drop you off the side of the road. I just completely ignored her and we started fighting again. As soon as we started fighting again, then she again pulled off on the side of the road and was like, get out of my car. And we were like, huh? And so we got out of the car. We were probably like, I don't know, 3 or 4 blocks away from my house, and then my mom drove away. And just as my mom like drove away, my grandma came driving through and she saw us. So my mom's plan was to drive around the corner like, just to scare us and to pick us back up. But my grandma saw us and she picked us up and she was like, what happened? We were like, our mom dropped us off the side of the road. We got in the car and then we left with my grandma. So my mom comes back around and she's like, oh my gosh, where are my kids? And I'm old, so this was before cell phones were like a common thing. And so she had no way of calling and finding out where we were. And so me and my brother were just chilling at my grandma's house while my mom was probably freaking out somewhere. And we were like, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it got us to stop fighting, that's for sure.